The word utopia, derived from the Greek word meaning no place, describes a non-existent society. It is most commonly used in such a way that its meaning is narrowed, instead describing a non-existent society that is considerably better than the contemporary one. The trouble comes with the word utopia, homophonous with utopia, which is derived from the Greek meaning good place, describing a positive utopia. Since the first stirrings of human consciousness compelled us to consider ourselves and the meaning of our existence, we have imagined a utopia. This hope of betterment is one of the chief driving forces of our species, why we continue to strive to improve both our surroundings and ourselves as time passes. This is the first episode of a series in which I will explore the idea of the utopia in the context of our present fallible society, members of which tirelessly and ruthlessly strive for their own version of utopia, and will use any means to get us there. You who know the content of my channel, of course, understand the members I am referring to. In critiquing the utopia and that which the regressive of our time are aiming for, I am in no way suggesting that humanity should spurn this trait in pursuit of happiness or harmony. It is this very thing that keeps us going, keeps us making the most amazing breakthroughs, and living through even the most grueling trials. However, though the road to hell is often paved with good intentions, it is often also paved with bad ones. Too often there comes a point where those walking down its path forget the stones they had laid. Throughout the series, I will be using my copy of Bernard Levin's book, A World Elsewhere, first published in 1994 by Random House. Our topic today is envy and the utopia, and how this can be compared to the so-called social justice warriors of today, who make it their business to bring about their utopian vision. Levin states, "In all the myriad utopias that we fallible beings have conjured up, it seems one, and only one, condition is common to them all. As far as the survey of utopias go, in none is there envy. Indeed, in the positive utopia, depicted in literature, as well as other forms of media, Sir Thomas More's Utopia for instance, society is typically divided in such a way as to benefit everyone and ensure all levels of society function in an orderly and smooth manner. More's utopian society was a communal one, in which every family makes its own clothes and learns a trade. Men tackle the tougher trades, while women are responsible for lighter tasks such as cooking and other domestic duties. Everyone is perfectly contented with their lot." Levin continues, "Perhaps there is nothing to envy in a perfect world, but the idea goes deeper. Even in hierarchical utopias there appears to be no covetousness, for all are contented with their lot. It is a powerful tribute to utopian beings, the banishment of that most corrosive poison. But who said utopia lies in rejecting utopia? Envy, as well as jealousy, has been arguably the most demonized emotion. Unchecked, it can lead to the most hideous acts of cruelty. The first murder in the Bible is put down to a fit of envious rage from Cain to his brother Abel. Even today it carries an insidiousness that harks back to its personification by Ovid as a haggard, miserable old hag rotting from the inside out, consumed by her hatred for others. Yet envy, as well as its cousin jealousy, is both hardwired and, dare I say, natural part of the human condition. For instance, a 2013 study concluded that both emotional and sexual jealousy is a biological characteristic of our species and contributes greatly to the investment and effort we place into relationships. Even envy, conducted with a measure of self-control, is a healthy emotion and has its benefits. The book The Joy of Sin, The Psychology of the Seven Deadly Sins by Simon Larman, it illustrates this very well. Have our utopians ever heard of original sin, let alone the subsequent kind? The strangeness of the story lies not in the fact that human beings are, and are known to be, imperfect. The mystery is why, when the imperfections are everywhere, do utopians behave as though it does not exist? Indeed, these positive utopias, the Garden of Eden, the world pre-Pandora's box in the Greek myth, and so forth, insist that man is naturally pure until outside forces move in to corrupt. The greatest weakness of the utopian psychology is cried up as though it was its greatest strength. Again and again, in the teeth of the evidence, we are told that man is naturally perfect, and only when he is left entirely alone to do as he wishes that he becomes imperfect. This perception is mirrored in today's regressives, the belief that humanity, or certain portions of it at least, are naturally pure, and any flaws or blemishes are imposed upon them by society. This is where the entire social construct nonsense arises. A comment on an article featured in The Cut about a man so cucked he allows his wife to sleep with other men, believing himself to be progressive and empowering his wife, outlines it perfectly. Socio-political movements like feminism provide a great excuse for people like this to frame their failure and weakness as some kind of principled strength. Articles such as these show the true ugly face of this utopian mission, a movement that frames natural human emotions as obstructions to a perfect society, and do their best to purge so-called oppressive behaviors from humanity. Levin continues, harmless utopians watching their commune fall to pieces are subjects for sympathy. But there are also harmful utopians. Procrustes knew what he was about. For those of you who don't know, in Greek mythology, Procrustes was known as a rogue smith and bandit from Attica who physically attacked people by stretching them or cutting off their legs, so as to force them to fit the size of an iron bed. If man, born perfect, has become imperfect, he must be made perfect again, at whatever price and irrespective of his own wishes. Men must be made perfect, and nothing else matters. Nor can there be any restrictions on but the means by which the perfection is to be achieved. Men must be pure in whatever means of coercion, and if it becomes plain that the re-perfecting of man is difficult, perhaps even getting more difficult as time goes by, it must be that evildoers are obstructing the program. Remind you of anyone? Like the deluded tyrants of the past, who attempted to forge their own utopias with the corpses of dissidents and thought criminals, so too do the so-called heralds of the new order. The young fools who scream, disrupt, and attack anyone who dares to defy their vision for a new world, with cries of "check your fucking privilege" and "you're a fucking white male." Teaching children to hate themselves, physical assault, and ruining the careers of innocent men are just some of the means by which they are happy to use in order to carve out their utopia. The irony of all this is that for all the declarations of perfection regressives make of themselves, for all their desires to create a world where everybody accepts their lot, where there is no bitterness, envy, or similar, they themselves are the epitome of envy at its worst. They, like the miserable hag of Ovid's imagining, are consumed with hatred of both themselves and others for perceived traits they lack, knowing on some level they lack, but not in the way they think. In truth, they simply lack intelligence, spine, decency, and self-awareness. They are the blind leading the blind, like the envious souls in Dante's Purgatorio. But rather than seeking penance by realizing their sin, they lash out, harm, and destroy. Their road to Utopia is paved with blood, hypocrisy, and bullshit. I think Christopher Marlowe's personification of the emotion encapsulates perfectly this destructive mindset. I'm envy, begotten of a chimney sweeper and an oyster wife. I cannot read, and therefore wish all books were burnt. I am lean with seeing others eat. Oh, that there would come a famine throughout all the world, that all might die, and I live alone. Then thou shouldst see how fat I'd be. But must thou sit and I stand? Come down with a vengeance.